Hey, what's going on, guys? The Horror Man back with the next top 20 for 2020. This time I'll be counting down my top 20 favorite 2000 through 2009 horror films. If you're unfamiliar with the top 20 for 2020, it's a series my buddy Jason and I created. Twice a month, we randomly select a theme and count down our top 20 favorite movies from that theme. There are some rules though. We can only include 20 films. No honorable mentions. We can also only include one film per franchise in our rankings. And finally, we can only feature films we actually own on physical media in our collections. This time around, the randomly selected theme was 2000 through 2009 horror films. Like with all of my other rankings, I will be starting at number 20, my least favorite, and working my way to number 1, my favorite horror film from 2000 through 2009. Also, please keep in mind that this is just my personal opinion. I will not spend too much time discussing each of the films. I will simply show them and say a few words to keep this video from being too long. And so, here we go. My top 20 for 2020 of my top 20 favorite 2000 through 2009 horror films. Coming in at number 20 is a must for this decade, Saw. I remember when I first saw this one, the ending completely blew me away. It's been a long time since I've seen it though, so it sort of lost its luster, which is why I have the movie ranked here at number 20. At number 19 is a movie that at one time got the credit it deserved, but it seems like no one ever discusses it anymore. It's Cabin Fever. This is the film that introduced the horror community to Eli Roth, and the storyline is definitely fitting with what's going on in the world today, which is why I knew I had to include it. Regardless, this movie is a lot of fun, and it's number 19. Number 18 needs no introduction. It's Freddy vs. Jason. When this movie was announced, I remember wondering how they were going to accomplish this. How would they make it not seem too silly? To be honest, it worked. When I first saw it, I was pleasantly surprised that they actually made a good storyline out of a Freddy vs. Jason battle film. And here it is, at number 18 in my top 20. Coming in at number 17 is probably one of the greatest horror remakes of all time, and it was released in 2003, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. My number 16 pick is a film that deserves way more attention. This movie is brutal, it's disturbing, and it really sticks with you. It's Eden Lake. Coming in at number 15 is a movie directed by my favorite horror director, and possibly my favorite director of all time. It's Don Coscarelli's Bubba Hotep, starring the one and only Bruce Campbell. This movie is just a blast. I also love the score in this one, which is highly underrated in my opinion. At number 14 is another film that sticks with you. It stars the late Bill Paxton and Matthew McConaughey. It's Frailty. I've been meaning to revisit this one for a while. It's been on my mind. Like I said, it just sticks with you. It's a really unique story. I love this movie, and it's number 14 in my top 20. Fittingly, coming in at number 13 is 13 Ghosts. This movie is just so much fun, but it seems to get a lot of hate, and I don't understand it. I remember when I first watched it, I kept anticipating the release of the next Ghost in the House. What would it be like? The house is also an awesome setting, and I'm really happy Scream Factory will be releasing this one soon on Blu-ray. My number 12 pick was actually a surprise to me, because at one time I really did not like this film. It's the Black Christmas remake. And no, obviously not the 2019 remake, this is the 2006 film Black Xmas. I didn't like it when I first saw it, because it's supposed to be a remake of one of my all-time favorite horror films, Black Christmas 1974. And this was definitely a loose remake. However, after revisiting this one a few years back, I absolutely loved it. I don't know what changed, but now it's become an annual watch at Christmas time. Coming in at number 11 is an extremely underrated early 2000s slasher, The Pool. Location, location, location. You might remember me repeating that in my sleazy, cheesy slasher review of this film. It takes place in an indoor water park, basically a giant pool with water slides. And in true slasher fashion, A killer is on the loose, picking off everyone, one by one. It's awesome. We're into the top 10 now, and coming in at number 10 is Teeth. If you've been watching my channel for a long time, I'm talking before my hiatus, then you know how much I love this movie. And you know why, because I talked about it enough. At number 9 is a favorite among many, and it's another annual Christmas watch for me because it does take place around Christmas time. It's American Psycho. Who doesn't love this film? Coming in at number 8 is a movie directed by another one of my favorite horror directors. It's Sam Raimi's Drag Me to Hell. If you love The Evil Dead, chances are you love Drag Me to Hell. It has the same type of practical effects, that same style. I absolutely love this one. Lucky number 7 is Scream 3, because as a huge fan of the Scream franchise, I obviously needed to include this one. With that being said, Scream 3 is actually my favorite of the Scream sequels, because I think it has the best killer in the franchise. At number 6 is one of my all-time favorite horror anthology films. And what's even better is it takes place on Halloween. It's Trick or Treat. Is the sequel ever happening? We've been hearing about it for so long, and it seems like there has been no progress made. Regardless, we still have this classic, and it's number 6 in my top 20. We've made it to the top 5, and coming in at number 5 is Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. At this point, any of these films could have been number 1. They're all so amazing. You guys know I love this movie so much. I think Leslie Vernon is one of the most likable characters in horror movie history. I also love the storyline, I love his mask, I love everything about this film. And this is another one that definitely deserves a sequel. My number 4 is probably the movie my wife would rank as number 1 on this list, The Loved Ones. She absolutely loves this movie, and so do I. In fact, I consider Lola Stone to be one of the greatest female villains in horror movie history. But there are just 3 films I prefer just slightly to this one, including my number 3 pick, Session 9. I recently showed a VHS screening copy I obtained of this, which I am so happy to have, because as I mentioned in that video, this is one of my all-time favorite horror films. It is probably the best psychological slasher film ever made, in my opinion anyway. And speaking of slashers, at number 2 is Hatchet. I'm sure we are all in the same boat with this one. It's widely regarded as one of the greatest slasher films of the modern age, and it's definitely worthy of that praise. But for me, there is one horror film released between 2000 and 2009 that stands out above the rest. It's quite possibly my favorite horror film, not only of 2000 through 2009, but of the last 20 years. It was released in 2003, from a director that gets a lot of undeserved hate, in my opinion. Do you know what it is? My number 1 favorite 2000 through 2009 horror film is House of a Thousand Corpses. It was Rob Zombie's first horror film, and in my opinion, still his best. At the time, it received a ton of accolades. A lot of people really loved this movie. And then, somewhere along the way, it sort of got outshined by his other films, like The Devil's Rejects, which most people seem to prefer to this one. Not me, though. To me, House of a Thousand Corpses is still Rob Zombie's best. And this is coming from someone who's a fan of all of his films. And yes, that includes the ones that most of you seem to hate. But what can I say? I love Rob Zombie's horror movies. House of a Thousand Corpses is pretty much a horror fan's dream. And at the time it was released, many agreed. Now, while a lot of those opinions have changed, mine hasn't. And House of a Thousand Corpses is my number 1 favorite 2000 through 2009 horror film. So there you have it, guys, my top 20 for 2020 of my top 20 favorite 2000 through 2009 horror films. What do you think? Comment below and let me know. Also, be sure to check out Jason's top 20 for 2020. And if you feel like participating, join in as well. We'd love to see your lists. Thanks for watching, guys. Be kind, subscribe.